skeptical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, so welcome on in, everybody, to the SNL Network here on this Monday night as we begin our first episode of a new podcast series here at the SNL Network known as the SNL Network's Character Countdown. And this is going to be a very fun series we will be on for the next 6 weeks, counting down the greatest SNL characters of all time as voted by you, the fans. Last week, we put out a poll on all social platforms. We had people voting on Reddit, on Instagram, on Twitter. People kept submitting different characters that were their favorites, and we wanted to know who are the greatest SNL characters of all time. There are so many, maybe not as many nowadays, but there were a lot, throughout the many decades of the show. And we wanted to get the official rankings of the SNL characters. And I thought a great way to do that would be to bring in some of our patrons. And for those who do not know, our patrons are some paid subscribers who help support our show, and they get several benefits, including joining me on some podcasts during the SNL season and throughout this patron podcast series during the summer. So thank you to all the patrons who keep us going at the SNL Network and supporting us. And of course, if you would like to become a patron of the SNL Network, you can join us at patreon.com/the SNL Network. And now it is my pleasure to introduce two of our patrons we've spoken to on the podcast before. First up, it is my man, Thomas Senna. Thomas, how are you?
I'm doing great over here in rainy New Mexico. A little reprieve from the blistering heat that we've had.
Yeah, well, at least that is a little bit of a reprieve. I know it's been very hot all around the United States. It's been hot up here in Canada as well, believe it or not. So I'm happy to hear that. And we also have joining us today one of my, like I said, every time she comes on, I always say one of my favorite people to talk to in the SNL community. It's Demi. Demi, how are you?
I'm well, John. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. Demi had, at the end of the season 47, we did a patron show where we had patrons call in throughout the night. And Demi came in, I think it was her first time talking to us on the podcast. She's always in the chat. And I said, oh, it's so great to talk to you. It's so wonderful. And she had the most energetic, fun phone call that we had on the show. So Demi, I'm really pleased that I get to talk to you for a full hour and a bit now about this.
The honor is mine.
Yes,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get into revealing the list. How this is going to work is we're going to reveal numbers 20, 19, 18, and 17 for the character countdown. We will reveal them throughout the podcast. So if you are checking us out live or listening right after the fact, you don't know who we are going to be talking about tonight. We're going to give it like 2 or 3 days maybe, and then we'll switch the thumbnail and reveal who it is for anyone after the fact. So you have a couple days to listen if you don't want to be spoiled. Next week, we will be back with the next 4 characters and a couple of new patrons. All right. Before we get started with number 20, to kick things off, Thomas, I would love to ask you, what in your mind makes a great SNL character?
I think it's somebody who is quotable is one of the first things that's come to mind. I think when I think of SNL characters, I think of, growing up at recess or whatever, we would like quote SNL sketches and characters to each other. I hung out with a lot of nerds. I know, Demi, you're already looking at me like I'm just a weird guy, but I was a little nerd as a kid.
Why I'm here. Yeah, that's super weird. That's why I'm here.
So I think just a character who's quotable and easy to imitate, or easy to try to imitate. We probably couldn't do proper imitations of any of these characters that we're going to talk about tonight, but somebody that just makes you want to imitate them, things like that. That's kind of what immediately jumps to mind.
For sure. I think quotable, it totally makes sense. I think in March, we did a catchphrase bracket on the Superfan Takeover. And I think there's going to be some crossover there between characters and catchphrases. That's something that, really takes on a life of its own outside of the show. Demi, for you, what makes a great SNL character?
Well, that's a great question, John. And Thomas, yes, it has to be quotable, has to be portable, so you can do it with your friends and stuff, or else it doesn't take on a life of its own. But yeah, the character, the SNL cast member doing it has to be committed to being whatever character they are. And then a funny voice helps, but it's easy to imitate funny voice. And like a catchphrase, like some of the character catchphrases, I don't really like the characters, but the catchphrases are they're so like tangible, they're so solid, like handles, that I find myself like inserting them. Have you guys remember that Mike Myers skit from like forever ago with Chris Farley, Mike Myers? They did like one skit, and my sister and I would quote it to each other, and it was like Mike Myers in like a polo shirt and like suspenders, and he'd be like, middle-aged man.
Yeah.
You guys remember that? And he'd be like, are you looking at my gut? I'm working on it. And it was like one skit. And my sister and I thought that was the funniest thing ever. So, and looking back on it now, I'm like, well, it's the one line, like the whole thing. Just keep doing the line. So,
Yeah.
But I remember after all these years.
Yeah, for sure. I think lines stick with you for a very long time. I think for me, what makes a great SNL character is truly the ability to share it with people outside of the SNL sphere. I think when I was younger and I was in high school and I was watching the show, when there was a recurring character that really caught on, I could go to all my friends and show them the character, and they would get so excited and they would say, okay, I want to watch more. And I wouldn't have to go to different sketches. I could literally just show them different versions of the existing sketch, and they would fall in love because it developed like the character development, right? That's something that people look for in sitcoms. They look for it in drama. They look for it in different shows. In a way, you get character development from these made up fictional characters in the sketches when you talk about recurring characters on the show. And some of them develop really good backstories that we find are hilarious. Some of them we don't understand at all. And that's what makes them funny. They're like, how does this person actually exist? But if you put yourself in the world of the sketch in a way and you buy into it, some of these characters are absolutely hilarious. So let's get into them. Demi, I'm making you laugh. What is it?
I'm just thinking of a character that I don't want to bring up. I don't want to ruin or anything.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of the Falconer.
Oh, of course. Classic Will Forte, the Falconer. Okay. But yes, the Falconer is not number 20. Let's start by revealing the 20th greatest SNL character of all time. And as far as I'm concerned, Thomas and Demi, I think we can all agree this is going to be the official list from now on. This will be the official top 20 characters of all time. You'll find this on Wikipedia. We'll get it there.
This is canon.
This is canon. All right, let's start with number 20. And this will be a character from a longtime cast member of the show, one of the greatest cast members ever.
Welcome to Turtle.
It is the Target Lady from Kristin Wiig, was voted as the 20th greatest character of all time. Target Lady from Kristin Wiig was on the show 10 times, starting in season 31 with Dane Cook, going all the way to season 37 when in her final season of the show, the Daniel Radcliffe episode, and then appeared one more time in season 38 when Kristin Wiig came back to host in season 38, episode 20. So there were a lot of elements about the Target Lady that seemed to catch on. We'll talk about them. Her seeing products that she really liked and then leaving the cash register to go and find them. How about this great line from the Target Lady? The approved. You talked about catchphrases. That was something that I think really caught on. But one thing that I would like to start with is this, to me, is not often brought up as the greatest character from Kristin Wiig. This is a character that, she had so many recurring characters. I wonder why this one made the list and potentially others didn't. But we have to start by talking about the fact that she did this in her audition, and we found that out in SNL 40. So I'll play you a clip of her doing the Target Lady from SNL 40.
Right now we're having a sale on all of our holiday candles.
And that's how she auditioned for Saturday Night Live with the Target Lady. So really fascinating that Kristin Wiig's Target Lady made the top 20. All right, Thomas, over to you. Thoughts on Kristin Wiig here?
Well, Kristin Wiig and I have kind of a somewhat up and down relationship as far as viewer and performer. Some of her recurring characters I don't totally jive with, but this one, Target Lady, I find her to be really, and somebody said this in the chat without exactly what I was thinking, I find her to be pretty endearing as a character. There's a lot of heart that comes through in the Target Lady. Like when some customers are actually, especially the first few installments of this, some customers were actually mean to her, but she just let it roll off her back. Like she just didn't even acknowledge it, and she was just her peppy, energetic Target Lady self, and that's what came across. There was something really, I know she was just this outlandish character, but there was something really human that kind of came through in the Target Lady that sort of resonated with me. And that didn't always happen with Kristin Wiig characters with me, but with Target Lady, there was something about her that I really rooted for actually during the sketches. So I'm good with her, with Target Lady being number 20 here.
Demi, do you think that the Target Lady deserved to make the top 20?
I mean, I'd be surprised if she didn't. I mean, when you were doing or playing the lines, I was laughing, so I wasn't thinking of the skits. I'm laughing up because I knew a girl at work that did a really good impression out of nowhere, and she would do it all the time, and it was a really good impression, and it was like sometimes irritating, but sometimes funny, but she did it so well that I'm just thinking back to that. I'm like, oh, she did a really good Target Lady. But I mean, yeah, she's wholesome, and I just didn't like when they tried to juxtapose like sex into it. Like that was so clunky. But a character herself, I mean, like, yeah, she was consistent, and she didn't let anything bother her. And she has good catchphrases, and the accent's weird enough that if you can get it, you can impress your friends.
For sure. Let's talk about the hosts that appeared in Target Lady sketches. So we said Dane Cook, there's Peter Sarsgaard, Justin Timberlake, and that was one where we talked a little bit about, sexual in nature. Drew Barrymore, Jonah Hill, Ben Affleck, JT again, Ryan Phillippe. That was not a Target Lady sketch. That was actually a monologue where they brought out recurring characters for Ryan Phillippe's episode of the show. Daniel Radcliffe, that one was very sexual.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And then Kristin Wiig when she hosted the show. So Thomas, let me get your thoughts on that. Do you think that Target Lady was maybe too sexual in nature?
I think maybe the people around her might have been too sexual, but I think she was oftentimes a little oblivious. I'm thinking about when she was actually a host. That was actually probably my favorite Target Lady sketch when she actually hosted in season 38. And when this isn't sexual per se, but there were a couple times where like Adie Bryant revealed her character to be a lesbian, and Kristin Wiig just or Target Lady was just kind of asking naive questions and making naive comments. Vanessa Baer's character in that same sketch was buying maxi pads, and it almost seemed like the Target Lady that was like foreign to her. So she seems a little naive in that. And I think maybe it's the world around her that tries to insert all the sexual innuendo and stuff. But I think Target Lady for the most part maintains her purity when that stuff is brought up.
For sure. Thomas, could you, if somebody had never seen a Target Lady sketch, can you explain it to them? Like, what would they be looking at when they'd watch one?
I would just say, think of just the most enthusiastic, the person who you can think of who loves their job the most and who just wakes up and cannot wait to go to work, and they don't hold back. They don't hold that fact back when they interact with customers. That's kind of essentially what the Target Lady is. She's just has genuine enthusiasm for what she does, even if it's as mundane as just working at a Target.
For sure. And I see some of our friends in the chat talking about Classic Peg, which was one of the installments with Justin Timberlake, where Classic Peg, which I think was a fun, very fun bit throughout that episode. And I saw, I believe it was Blood Meridian, also mentioned that Kristin Wiig auditioned with Aunt Linda, one of the characters from Weekend Update. So all these anecdotes that we get from our friends in the chat, really helpful for us when we're analyzing these characters. So Demi, to you, do you feel like if you had friends who were just getting into the show, is Target Lady the type of character that you would want to show them?
I mean,
or why not?
Because it's like, because Kristin Wiig makes it. Like it's like, well, how do I describe it? Well, it's a checkout lady at Target, but it's funny. Like, but because she makes that character, like she embodies that character and she commits to it fully. And how deep is her innocence? Like, we don't know. What's the backstory? Does she live alone? Does she require assistance? What's going on with Target Lady? So much going on. So it'd be difficult to like quantify it for somebody. I mean, I'm sure they would see it like a viral share or something if people still do that. Is that a thing? Do people learn anything like by that?
I don't know, but well, here's something interesting that I'd like to talk about as we sort of round up our discussion of the Target Lady. So I'm going to reveal something about the character list that Thomas and Demi, you don't know, which is in the top 20, Target Lady is the only Kristin Wiig character that made the top 20. And this is a cast member who, like I said, probably one of the GOATs, who is known for recurring characters, and only the Target Lady makes the top 20. So let's talk about that a little bit. Why Target Lady and not, Penelope or Sue or other ones that have made, other ones that may have made an impact on people? Thomas, what do you think?
Oh, first of all, finding that out really validates my opinion here because, like I said, I have a weird relationship with Kristin Wiig's more just huge characters. So I think it's great that like out of like some of those big characters, I assume maybe Gilly's not on the top 20.
I would think Gilly.
Yeah. So, but I like Target Lady more than all those other huge Kristin Wiig characters. And I think some of those other characters don't feel like real people that exist in the world. They feel like aliens. And Target Lady feels like she could be a real person that exists somewhere. I mean, it's an exaggerated version of a person that exists somewhere, but she feels more real than some of those other characters that are just totally out there. So I maybe think I just go back to the human aspect, and I'm actually pretty happy that the list isn't bombarded with those other Kristin Wiig characters that, quite honestly, for me, there's diminishing returns with those other characters.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I was always a very big Kristin Wiig fan. She was one of my favorite cast members when I started watching the show and, got into it. And I loved a lot of her characters. I see people in the chat bringing up two a-holes, Penelope. I mean, these were characters that we were quoting and we love, like my friends and I, we would talk about all the time. But I think as I've, kind of grown up and maybe matured in my viewing of the show a little bit, I could sort of see why Target Lady may be the best Kristin Wiig character just because of all the things you're saying, Thomas. It's grounded in reality. There's more depth to the character, and it's not just repeating the same things each time. Every Target Lady sketch has its own storyline, and I think that, and I legitimately believe the listeners of our podcast, our social media audience, are extremely sophisticated in their viewing of Saturday Night Live. So I'm not surprised that this was their choice to be voted onto the list. There were some other characters who got close, but this was the only one that cracked the list. So Demi, any thoughts on this being the only Kristin Wiig character on the list?
I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, that's a shocker, though.
Yeah, for sure. Was there another one that you can think of that you thought maybe should have, or do you think they made the right choice?
No, I think that's a solid, because the other characters, like if I had to do Penelope right now, I mean, I tried to do it the other day with someone, I couldn't think of it because the metaphors are like just off, like the character isn't developed. So yeah, I totally agree.
I think the two a-holes is one that I forgot that I actually really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, two a-holes.
Yeah.
I thought 2A. I'm like, what? Oh, two a-holes.
Yes, that was another one of my favorite Kristin Wiig recurring.
Yeah, but she's just snacking gum. Like,
but she does it really well.
She does. 100% agree.
For sure. And I think Two A-Holes is personally like some of my favorite SNL sketches ever. And I would love to see that back again one day. I don't think we're ever going to get it again, but I would love to see it. That's a sketch that ended like very early on in that run for Jason and Kristin. So it's, maybe it didn't have that lasting effect, but that's something I think we've been clamoring for, maybe seeing one more down the road. But I think that is that would be a contender for me on my personal list. But okay. So, Thomas, anything else on the Target Lady you'd like to bring up?
No, I think that's all.
Okay, Demi, what about you?
Good.
All right, so let's get to number 19 on the list. And I think it was pretty hilarious how this turned out because there's a lot of Kristin Wiig comparisons to this particular cast member who ended up developing this character that we've talked a lot about even recently.
I think he was the lookout. Look, it wasn't my worst Wednesday night.
Yeah, that would be the great Colleen Rafferty from Kate McKinnon as number 19 on the greatest SNL characters of all time. This is a character that Kate McKinnon did in season 41 with Ryan Gosling, where she plays somebody who was abducted by aliens. And she was the one who was abducted and had a very different experience than her friends Ryan Gosling and Cecily Strong. And we get to hear a lot of different anecdotes from her throughout her 7 appearances, most recently concluding with the Natasha Lyonne episode, where she does say goodbye really to the audience as a cast member, Kate McKinnon, and she goes out, this being her, monumental character on the show. I mean, I think you can argue her impression of Hillary as well, and that's something we discussed in our career retrospective of Kate, but certainly this character was on the mind of the audience as this got voted into number 19. So, Demi, let me start with you. Thoughts on Colleen Rafferty cracking the top 20?
Yeah, I'm not super surprised. Maybe I would have been a little, maybe she's a little bit higher. I would have been even less surprised. But yeah, she has some real handles, total commitment. She comes up with new colloquialisms. What is that? Similes or genitals.
You mean things like this?
So I had to just chill up there with my damn coot and prune shoe hanging till the place opened up.
Oh, John, thank you for the assist.
You're welcome.
But yeah, like the character is like, she is very fully herself and she continually gives context, and it's the same script, but it's like different. It's like a Mad Lib, and I mean the cast really enjoys it. Like you can tell the cast loves doing that sketch together. So it's high emotion all around. It's great. It's a great character.
Yeah, and this was a character that we saw a few times, twice in season 41, Ryan Gosling and Brie Larson, season 42 with Casey Affleck, season 43 with Ryan Gosling again, season 44 with Liev Schreiber and Paul Rudd, and then not for 3 more years until we got it with Natasha Lyonne. So it came back finally. Thomas, what do you think about Colleen Rafferty?
Yeah, when we were talking about the traits of what we look for in a character, I think this checks a lot of those boxes. I think she has a good combination of like a distinct look. There's the physical comedy that a lot of times really speaks to me as well. You got the word play that she uses, all the euphemisms. She builds a story. There's just like such fun storytelling in all these sketches that I'm just sort of engrossed in. Like I'm picturing, it's very like vivid. Like I'm picturing in my mind when she's kind of going through her experiences with the aliens or with the Santa Claus elf or whoever she's experiencing at the time. She really paints just a fun story of what's happening. It's really vivid. So it's the type of sketch that just kind of lets me get engrossed in it, I think. And I love it. I am surprised I haven't made a list of my own like this, but there's a good chance that she would come close to the top 20, I think, in my own personal list. As much as I love Kate McKinnon too, this is a quintessential Kate, I think.
For sure. I think that Kate McKinnon is such a important cast member in the history of SNL. And it's hard because it's, she just left the show to really look back and think about it. But, this, if you're going to put a Kate character, it's obviously going to be this one. And I have to wonder, Demi, if her goodbye that we got from her in season 47 with this character boosted it onto this list.
I mean, I'm sure it reminded people how much they love that character. Because, I mean, I watched like the homemade SNL comps on YouTube that has like, just the juicy bits, but I've watched the whole thing, so I don't feel bad. And like Colleen Rafferty is all over those comps. And like it's very fresh in my mind, so it's possibly fresh in a lot of people's minds because she's in almost there are comps specifically for her. So in the YouTube regurgitation comp world, like Colleen Rafferty's everywhere. So it's possible that she was top of mind even before that.
For sure. Thomas, is there one Colleen Rafferty sketch that you would recommend people check out over the others?
I think I would probably tell people to watch the second Ryan Gosling one. That's the one that's most memorable to me. That was the in season 43. And I think that's the point where so I think we saw through those sketches, there was escalation from one sketch to the other. And I think that was the kind of the tipping point of physical escalation. That's where I saw Kate, like her goal was like, I'm going to break Ryan Gosling.
Yep.
And she did, and that's the type of breaking I actually don't mind. To me, it didn't ruin the sketch.
Right.
To me, it made the sketch more fun, and I like that.
They
kind of
held it
breaking.
together.
Yeah, no, he tried to hold it together, but and he could see him kind of turn his head, and his face wasn't too visible, but he was totally trying. And Kate was, Kate, I could tell Kate was just, really
was it
trying
double
to
barrel
break
pink
him.
eye? Was it that one?
Yeah, when she had her head by his butt and was kind of like, I think she was.
And he was just like away from the camera, and he's
yeah, and I think that's that's where those sketches escalate to like the physical, and that's, to me, that's the most fun one.
Yes.
To watch for sure. She goes from trying to break 80, like it's always fun to watch 80 trying to hold it together in her role, but I think the second one with Ryan Gosling to me is the most fun one.
Yeah, that one I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Demi, please.
That video on YouTube on the SNL page, I think that's like the 6th most watched video. It's like 65 million views. Like, it is the only Kate McKinnon that's in that top.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I remember when the first one came out with Ryan Gosling, season 41, it was the last time I can remember that people who were so disconnected from SNL were sending me clips of this and being like, oh, wow, did you see what Kate McKinnon did on Saturday Night Live last night? This is absolutely hilarious. People who, I'm like, we all know them. We all know, like, the SNL isn't funny, people. Those people were laughing at this particular sketch the first time that they saw it. And
Wow.
it is, that's my like experience with this one. And, for me, I do think that, in a way, we're going to talk throughout this series, I think, a little bit about people breaking during sketches and how that affects certain characters. I have to wonder if Bobby Moynihan and Aidy Bryant, and later Mikey Day and Aidy Bryant, sort of trying to keep it together, as well as Cecily Strong and the host, adds to the effect of, of Kate McKinnon's character. Because my argument, and I've always said this on the SNL Network, breaking on SNL isn't funny. People trying not to break on SNL is funny. And I think that's what really clicks in this and potentially some others down the road. So, Thomas, thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, exactly. When the camera would cut to 80 during these sketches, she didn't totally break, but you can tell she just sort of gave a smirk and kind of like maybe shook her head and then gathered herself and then delivered her line. So you can tell that 80 didn't want to break. And even Bobby, I don't quite remember him breaking a ton during his tenure. I know Cecily doesn't really break all that much. But I think you're right. It's more fun to watch them try to hold it back than maybe say, like, Jimmy Fallon's the poster boy for breaking. I think just to watch Jimmy Fallon completely lose it. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, Demi, thoughts on that?
It's funny when they're trying not to break. Like, maybe they were collecting bios. They're like, nope. Like, that's all, because like her voice is like cracking. Because sometimes it's okay when when you can tell they're friends and they're just like trying to be professional, but it's really funny. So I cut them a little bit of slack, but yeah, try not to break is a million times, but that makes it even harder not to laugh. Like, so, either we all lose, we all win.
Yeah. And John in the chat said he doesn't remember Bobby Moynihan even breaking in these sketches, but I just specifically watched for that. And Bobby, you can tell Bobby smirked a little bit. And I think for him, that's he's a pro, but for him, that's breaking. But if you watch Bobby in some of these sketches, he does give that little, like, all right, he's kind of telling himself, keep it together, don't laugh. So,
yeah, I think it's the best modern version of breaking in a sketch that we've had. So I could definitely see why this made the top of the list. And it's really fun. We get Kristin Wiig, and then we get Kate McKinnon back to back to kick things off in the top 20. All right, Thomas, anything else on Colleen Rafferty?
I like that that they put Colleen Rafferty and her friends in different situations. So it wasn't everybody, I think a lot of people might assume it was all alien abductions, but I like that they made her like having death experiences or ghosts or time travel. I think it was really fun to see those different experiences as well. And then we mentioned earlier about revealing a backstory. And I love that throughout the sketches, we get to find out some of Colleen's backstory. Like, she's only 27, we found out in in one sketch, but you can't think too hard about it because she also got kicked out of Woodstock 99. So I don't know how the math works there, but it's just kind of fun reveals of just kind of the things that Colleen Rafferty's been through in life.
Yeah, for sure. She's a very old 27.
Yes.
Demi, anything else on Colleen Rafferty?
Yeah, she's a great caregiver. You can't really quote her. So she doesn't, like, nobody in this whole, we haven't quoted her once. We've quoted I've quoted A.D. Bryant, but I'm like, she's not imminently quotable, yet she checks all the other boxes and she is, like, instantly knowable. Like
For sure.
Even, like, she wears the same thing and it's like these easy front slacks and it's great. But I mean, she's an anomaly in that.
Maybe I'm just afraid to say cooter and tutor a little too much on the podcast.
Right? I'm gonna mess it up. I'll mess it up. It's like it's hard to do what she does. Like, that's hard.
Yes.
But good character.
I think Thomas nailed it. I think it's the euphemisms for the parts that I think make it less quotable. It's very funny. I mean, it makes it less quotable for sure. I think it wasn't my worst Wednesday night is something that I think is definitely a quote that people would say, but exactly, it's not the one liner that we get from some of these other characters. So it's interesting that it pushed past that element of what makes a great character.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's reveal number 18 on the list, and we're keeping it a little bit modern for this one. And let's talk about it's two characters that are together. They were both voted together, and we've had a lot of fun with these two. Let's introduce them for you.
Hi, we're not porn stars anymore. I'm Breckie, and I forget.
All right, so we get Vanessa Bayer and Cecily Strong coming in as the ex-porn stars. These are characters that started with the Jamie Foxx episode in season 38.
Oh, yeah.
And they ran 9 times on the show, all the way up until the Donald Trump episode of season 41. But in between there were some really fun interactions that we had between them and the hosts with different products that they were selling. These were 2 ex-porn stars that were filming commercials but couldn't pronounce everything. There was a lot of really fun moments where we had, talk about sexual, when we talked about the euphemisms from Colleen Rafferty. I mean, everything in this is sexual, so we'll try our best here to talk about it all. But really between, I'll go through the different episodes and then we'll talk about the ex-porn stars and the ones that we liked. So season 38 happened 3 times with Jamie Foxx, talking about Swarovski, Justin Timberlake, Moet and Shandon, Ben Affleck, Hermes handbags. I'm saying the way that I think they're supposed to be pronounced. Yeah. See, we're doing good. Season 39, Tina Fey with Manolo Blahnik, Jonah Hill, Lamborghini, Andy Samberg and Kristen Wiig. It was Andy Samberg hosting in season 39. Bulgari, season 40. James Franco with Seth Rogen, Sunseeker Yachts. In season 40, we also had Chris Hemsworth with Dolce & Gabbana, and then we had the Trump one in season 41. So lots of fun here. Thomas, I know you're a huge Vanessa Bayer fan, so you must be very excited to talk about the ex-porn stars.
Yes, I'll try not to be a total fanboy here, because I think I would venture to say in our whole SNL subculture here, I might be the biggest Vanessa Bayer fan out of all of us. So I'm so excited that Vanessa Bayer makes this list. And this is one of my favorites of hers too. And she and Cecily have such great chemistry together and timing. And I mean, she and Cecily are both great, like, facial comedians. And so they don't even have to, like, no pun intended. So then they don't even have to, like, sorry about that. I kind of teed you up. So it's just a whole combination of just physical comedy and wordplay, and they just play those characters so well. And just the added bonus of usually when they have a male, it was usually male hosts except for Tina Fey, but just the added bonus of them just popping in and all the false starts and then telling him, oh, and it's not time. You're, just I think everything about this sketch, and I know a lot of it's paint by numbers, but it's the sort of like meditation in a sketch that I just love, just kind of filling in those blanks and how are they going to do this part of the sketch. And I don't mind that. Some people might call it formulaic, but I love that aspect of these sketches.
Yeah, for sure. They were definitely shooting in the blanks when they did these. And I really, honestly, I loved so many of these episodes where we saw these ex-porn stars characters. They always showed up at the 10-to-1 slot naturally, where you would see them where they can get really dirty. And I think that was the fun of just seeing how far they would actually go with these things. So Demi, what were your thoughts on seeing the ex-porn stars crack the top 18?
I mean, very pleased. I kind of forgot about them, but sorry, Thomas. Although I maybe I'll keep it short so I can hear more about your fanboying here. This is amazing. I remember when that sketch first came on. Was it like what 2006, 5, 4, something like that? I don't know. I didn't want to like it because I'm like, oh, a porn star, what a trope. Like, oh, this is gonna be hilarious. But it's so funny, and the lines are so well written, and like the character walk the line so well. Between like, this is my game, it's like, who is gonna help this woman? Like it's so well done. It's so funny, and like they maintain their characters throughout, like their manner of speaking, their lipstick, the timing, just the way the host like integrates so seamlessly into it, because it's a really seamless integration with all the hosts, like Tina Fey. That was funny. Yeah, I mean. I forgot about that sketch, and I'm actually really pleased to see it on the list.
Yeah, and just to make a clarification, Demi, because I just want to don't want our listeners killing us in the comments, but it started in 2012, so it went 2012 to 2015 that we saw them.
True.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
so
it's okay, but I just want to make sure that people know, because these are.
Thank you.
Yeah,
2012.
of course. Yeah. But Thomas, was there a particular ex-porn star sketch that you liked and you would recommend?
I think the one that stood out to me was the one with Ben Affleck that they did in season 38. I think mostly because Ben Affleck just looks so silly. He came in and he was holding like a lasso, or it was like a rope. So he would come in and say, "Did someone say how's it hanging?" So it just kept having Ben Affleck's voice in my head saying, "Did someone say how's it hanging?" No. So and I mean all of them are funny, but just for that one stood out because of like the third porn star that was in the sketch kind of made me laugh more than the rest of them. Franco and Rogan were kind of funny to me, and I don't think the last one should be canon, so we'll kind of skip over that one.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pretend that one doesn't exist. I think
Yes.
that I think that my favorite element of these sketches with the ex-porn stars was always the moment where they were like teeing up something, and Cecily Strong was going to say something really dirty when there was like something clear cut to say. Here's an example of that, which I loved from these sketches.
There's never one thing never goes out of style.
Anal.
Like clearly supposed to say crystals. Jamie Foxx is teeing you up, and she goes full on for anal. And I think it's so hilarious. And they, she always finds another way to do that. It's like a classic part of these sketches. To me, it's the best part of the whole thing. Demi, any thoughts or any moments from the ex-porn stars that you would recommend people check out?
The Justin Timberlake one was great. We can't quote that either, actually. Can't quote
Try
the puns. Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Like, what line? Like, I think the Justin Timberlake one was great because he looked all skeezy, and it was like peak hotness for JT. One of the peaks. I don't know. JT was in one of them, right? That's what you said.
Yes. Yeah, we had JT earlier. We talked about him being in a Target Lady sketch in season 32 and season 34. He also appeared with the ex-porn stars here in season 38. So, I think you've seen JT in a bunch of different recurring characters sketches. So, now that we're sort of building up the list a little bit, I think it's interesting to talk about maybe why one maybe moves ahead of another. Thomas, do you think why do you think the audience would recommend ex-porn stars over sketches like Target Lady or Colleen Rafferty?
I'm not sure. This actually surprised me because I know I was a big fan of the ex-porn star sketches, but I'm surprised that it got such kind of wide praise like this. And I don't know. My initial instinct was recency bias, but Colleen Rafferty's more recent than these characters. I don't know. I think I'm going to revert back and just chalk it up to Vanessa Bears in it, and that was like the deciding factor in these sketches. I say that
do
a
you
little
think-
tongue in cheek, but
Do you think this is Vanessa Bayer's greatest character that she's had on the show?
I don't. I don't know if any of her other characters are going to be on the list, but she's done stuff on Weekend Update. I think that's my that's probably better than this. I don't know if you want me to maybe name my favorite, because I don't know if she's going to be in the countdown.
You would just say who it is. That's
the
no problem.
Totinos. She doesn't have a name, but it's the
Totinos.
Totinos. Yeah, the
Totinos.
Totinos I think is Vanessa Bayer's best character. Yeah.
Okay. I would say that Reddit had a big voting contingent to get the ex-porn stars on the list in particular. I'd say this is one of the characters that made it. It seemed like a lot of people on the Live from New York subreddit really felt like they really loved these sketches. So that's probably what boosted it up into the top 18. Okay. Demi, anything else you would like to say about the ex-porn stars in your viewership or going back to watch them?
No, they're a delightful surprise. I'm glad. It's great.
For sure. Thomas, anything else? You think we're ever going to get another one of these?
I think, you know what? I'm kind of hoping Vanessa Bayer hosts this season. Her the second season of her Showtime show actually got renewed, and she's one of the former cast members that hasn't come back to host, and I think it would actually make sense this season. So I think maybe, and especially since as of now, Cecily is still in the cast. So I think if and when Vanessa Bayer hosts this season, I do think that we're going to get one of these coming up in a 10-1, and I would be definitely here for it. And I don't think it's just a pipe dream. I think Vanessa could actually host this season.
That would be incredible. So we'd love to see that, and we'll all be clamoring to see this sketch maybe one more time. Okay. Let's move on to number 17 on our list. This will be the last character that we are revealing tonight. And we talked about 3 characters that I would say are fairly modern in the Target Lady, with the earliest appearance at season 31. Colleen Rafferty started in season 41, and the ex-porn stars started in season 38. Let's go all the way back to a character that started in season 2 of Saturday Night Live. It's always fun when we get to talk about something from the original cast. And this is a character that appeared 11 times on the show, also appeared in the 25th anniversary of SNL and the 40th anniversary of SNL, and with, this incredible moment that we got at SNL 40.
Get away from me!
So great. And it's so delighted that Nick the Lounge Singer makes the top 17 on the list. And this is a character that, if you heard, Bill Murray has wanted to, perform Jaws for so long, and he finally got to do this on SNL 40. And this is a character that started when Bill Murray joined the show in season 2. He comes on, and to me, this is quintessential Bill Murray on the show. I mean, he just gets to be his full self. He gets to walk around an entire set, sing to people, schmooze, and gets to have so much fun with the different songs that he is doing. I think that it'll be interesting to hear from the panel the differences between talking about a Bill Murray, Nick the Lounge Singer sketch versus some of the other characters we talked about tonight, because the eras are so different. So, Thomas, let me start with you on this one. Thoughts on Nick the Lounge Singer?
I think Nick the Lounge Singer transcends eras in a way, because it's just so much fun to watch. When I was going back and doing my homework for this podcast and watching all the Nick the Lounge Singer sketches, my main note was like, these are just so much fun to watch. And I think a lot like the Target Lady, Nick is just so positive, like constantly, even in the face of not so positive people. And I think it being an older sketch, some older sketches might not translate, like some people might not see the humor in like the Coneheads or something like that. But I think this one does, to me, it does kind of break through just because it's so performance based, and people love Bill Murray. How could you not love Bill Murray? So I think it actually was one of the sketches in the early days that does kind of break through and it transcends time.
For sure. Demi, what were your thoughts on Nick the Lounge Singer sketches?
All right. So I've never seen Nick the Lounge Singer or heard of it. I like SNL, but I'm not like, I don't have an archive. So I was like, all right, I have to watch all this. And I put it on, and it was so much fun to watch. and I was like blown away. Like he did the theme song from MASH.
Yes.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It was so funny. So I'd never heard. I was like, oh, this is a classic that I don't know. I missed this era. I wasn't born, right? What year was this? Yeah, second
So
season.
this started in 1976.
Yeah. I was
Actually, no. The first one was 1977. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was -6. So I AKA this is I felt like I was watching the primer for Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's great, but like the Bill Murray has a seriously good singing voice. Like he can carry a note, and he knows he can carry a note, and he made it part of his act, or vice. I don't know how it worked out, but he can do it so well and with so much bravado and so much commitment. Like it's such a joy to watch. It's like, how did I not know about this? But clearly, there's been casts of like improv and SNL that do know about it, because I can see so many inferences, so many points that I'm like, oh, because Will Ferrell, like, he's absurd and he commits and he will command the room. And now it's like, oh, this is like Play-Doh to Will Ferrell. That's an analogy works. But like I can see all the threads. It was amazing. So I'm so glad I had the reason to watch it. I'm gonna watch it again after this. It was great.
That makes me so happy. So happy that somebody discovered Nick the Lounge Singer.
Thank you. And to the bands. Thank you.
And I hope that more people do after they listen to this, because I think that what's interesting in that comparison between Will and Bill in this case is that I think Will Ferrell has that similar bravado in his characters, but he dives so deep into character. Whereas Bill Murray, when he's playing Nick the Lounge Singer, to me is sort of just like an accelerated version of Bill Murray already, which I think is what's interesting here. Let me run through all the different episodes that we got to see Nick the Lounge Singer on. We got season 2, episode 19 with Elliot Gould. That's the first time we get Nick Summers on, and every single time Nick had a different last name. So we had Nick Winters on season 3 with Robert Klein, Nick Springs with Richard Dreyfuss, also season 3.
That's
Nick
funny.
Sands on with I love it. Nick Sands on with Buck Henry, season 4. Nick Rails with Cecily Tyson. Nick Wings with Maureen Stapleton. Those are all season 4. And then in season 5, we got Nick Borealis. We got Nick at Greg's Bar Mitzvah with Kirk Douglas. I always love that one. That one was very great. In the season finale of season 5, pretty much the last episode for the original cast, season 5, episode 20 with Buck Henry, we have Trader Nick's. This is when Nick is in Hawaii. Bill Murray comes back to host. This is the 10th appearance in season 6, episode 12, where he plays Nick Rivers. And then in season 12, episode 14, we get Nick Slammer with also host Bill Murray. Nick Thinblood is at a casino in the 25th anniversary, and Nick Ocean is there for the Jaws musical acts in season 40 for SNL 40. All these episodes have Paul Schaefer on the piano backing him up, so it's always an element of this sketch for sure. Thomas, any favorites from you that you saw?
I think it would be Nick Winters, season 3, episode 10, because we were talking about quotable. It has something that I've been singing since I was like a teenager and first saw these sketches, which is the Star Wars theme. I mean, part of the fun of this is Demi alluded to like the MASH theme, and there's really no like lyrics to that.
There are lyrics. I know the lyrics.
There's lyrics to
I guess it's true.
But I mean, just if you're watching the TV show, there's not like really
right.
lyrics. There's no lyrics to that song, but so the Star Wars song, there's no lyrics either. But I just love how Nick like just inserts lyrics.
Made them up.
Just made them up. Let's make up lyrics for So like Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Like
so Jaws was the ultimate because it was one syllable, and he was like, pull that off.
Exactly. So I've been singing that like just a few years ago when I was on Facebook. My wife and I went to go see one of the new Star Wars movies, and I posted a clip of Nick the Lounge Singer singing the Star Wars song, talking about how I'm excited to go see Star Wars tonight. So I associate the Star Wars franchise with this sketch.
Brilliant marketing move.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he started off too with one of my other all-time favorite movies. He started off that sketch with the 2001: A Space Odyssey. theme to and went ahead and inserted lyrics into
Oh,
that.
I need to see that.
Yeah, that's just.
I need to watch that.
Oh, that's a great movie. But I mean, that sketch I would do season 3, episode 10, Nick Winters. So that's the second one that he did.
Yeah, there's such a classic feel about these that, I think they hold up really well. Like, I think if you are a new viewer of the show and you haven't gone back and watched, and Demi, I'd ask you this question, like, did they feel old to you at all when you were watching these?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe and Target Lady felt old, but again, I don't know why. I don't really even hate him. He really.
But did they feel like outdated? Like they couldn't, they like the kids like would watch these and go,
No.
what the hell is this? Yeah.
No,
I don't think so.
Shockingly, no.
Yeah, because I think that there are some characters from the original cast that don't work now, but this is a character that clearly does. And I think the only thing holding it back, in my opinion, from being more widely circulated is the fact that they're not easily accessible because of the music rights that they use in some of these sketches. They're a little bit more difficult to find compared to other recurring sketches or characters that you would see earlier on in the show. Because I would totally think that, and it's a problem with some other characters that we may get to on this list, but I would totally think that this is something that younger generations now would be passing around all the time or using memes of, and just those moments, because there are, like, in the Star Wars, like exactly what Thomas just saying, it's like a 5-second clip, or the Jaws thing I played, it's a 5-second clip, and this would be passed around everywhere, but it's, if you don't know where to find it, I think that makes the character less lastable for now. So I think, what do you think about it, Thomas?
No, I agree. I think that's unfortunate when, going back and watching old sketches, for this, even like with the Target Lady, some of the sketches weren't online for one reason or another, weren't on like Peacock, for one reason or another. Luckily, Nick the Lounge Singer, like all of those are on Peacock. So like you just go to all the previous episodes, and even when he hosted, like the 2 he did when he hosted, those are also for some reason they were able to keep the rights, I noticed, for the earlier episodes to songs. But I wish they like NBC Universal, whoever, could strike a deal with whoever they need to be able to have more sketches online for people to revisit.
Well, the first 5 years, I think, except for maybe like some segments where somebody's introducing the show for the next week, almost everything has been repurposed to be completely accessible from the first 5 years. And that's the reason why I think if you watch an episode in full on Peacock or Hulu or wherever you find it, then you'll see the Nick the Lounge Singer sketches. But the ones with the music in them, they're harder to be passed around as individual sketches. So I think that probably limits the accessibility for some of them. For sure. Demi, were there any other moments from the Nick the Lounge Singer sketch that you would think that you'd want to bring up to people who haven't seen them?
I mean, I would just pull up any of them and just like, because he's such a good singer. Like he has a good singing voice. So you're not like, it's not work to listen to him. It's not like you can just enjoy it, whatever he's going to do. Because you don't have to you don't have to worry about his voice breaking or anything like that. He's not doing it to be funny. He's singing it like seriously. So, I mean, I went in with no plan, and I just found all the Nick the Lounge Singer YouTube videos, which there were not a lot, and I just started watching them, and they were all funny. They were all funny. Like, it's just, so if anyone hasn't seen it, Google it, like watch it, like it's funny. It's funny
for sure.
Thomas,
anything else you? Yeah, for sure. Thomas, anything else from Nick the Lounge Singer you want to make sure we talk about tonight?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because I watched these chronologically, so I kind of became attached to Nick the Lounge Singer. But the last one that he did as a cast member, it was season 5, episode 20. It was the last episode of that original era and cast, and he ended the sketch singing "Stairway to Heaven," and that was kind of a touching sort of moment to end the last sketch from the early years, Nick the Lounge Singer, with "Stairway to Heaven," and the way he was singing it was kind of, it kind of got a little emotional. Not as emotional as like the last Colleen Rafferty sketch this past season, but it was some sort of like, I don't know, it induced some sort of feeling there that I think that was like a really nice, pleasant way to go out with this character while he was a cast member.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely love that moment. They're just, as I'll just say for the Nick Singer stuff. I personally, I'm an MC. I'm a host for events, so I have been places where I'm the guy on the microphone. I'm not Nick the Lounge Singer. I'm not singing. I'm not going out and schmoozing with people in that way. But I'm the guy at a party where sometimes there's hundreds of people at different tables, and I'm going around and trying to entertain the crowd to do something. And so, for me, this is absolutely hilarious in a relatable way, where you have all the pressure in the world to be entertaining to people, and you go out there, and he does it, through these, finding fun ways to sing these different songs and talking to people, asking them about their lives and making fun of their jobs and stuff like that. And sometimes, like, I've been at events, for example, where there's something important that needs to happen. Maybe somebody needs to make a speech, but they're in the bathroom, and everybody's just waiting for them to get out, and it's there's dead air, and you're just kind of like waiting for something to happen. And then I have to resort to somewhat what like Nick the Lounge Singer would do, where I'd walk up to people and start talking to them and schmoozing and stuff like that. So for me, like, this to me works so well and totally cracks my top 20 list, or top 17 in this case, because this is really fun. This is something that happens, and this is something that whether you're on a cruise or wherever it is nowadays, like, there are people out there like Nick the Lounge Singer, and Bill Murray does this as good as you can possibly do it. So I think it's a great choice. Okay, so that is our top 20, 19, 18 and 17 that we have revealed tonight on the show. Once again, Target Lady comes in at number 20, Colleen Rafferty number 19, Ex-Porn Stars number 18, Nick the Lounge Singer number 17. Next week on the podcast, we are going to reveal number 16, 15, 14, and 13 with 2 new patrons who will join us and break down those characters. That'll be August 1st. Make sure to join us for that. Thomas, always wonderful to get to hear from you on the show. Yes. Really great. I'd love to hear everything that you've got going on, and go ahead, plug away.
Yeah, so I am actually involved in a really fun SNL related project coming up. So there was a SNL Hall of Fame. There was season 1 last year, hosted by Jamie Dew, who did a great job with that. Season 2 is coming up, and Jamie actually asked me to lead the discussions during the episodes. So I've been having a great time. We already have our list of 30 nominees all set to go. So I've been having a great time researching and booking guests and scheduling and everything like that. So just a reminder, the people already in the SNL Hall of Fame are Lorne Michaels, Dan Aykroyd, Chris Farley, Tina Fey, Phil Hartman, Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, and Gilda Radner. So they've already been inducted into the SNL Hall of Fame. So we're gearing up for season 2 right now. We'll try to coincide the episodes with the actual SNL season. So look for those when the time comes. And a little, I can tease a couple episodes. John, you're going to be joining me for a couple of episodes. Buck Henry, who's going to be nominated as a host, and Kristin Wiig will be nominated as a cast member. And John, you're going to be joining me for those 2 episodes. So it's just a fun project for the SNL geek that I am. And Jamie started a wonderful thing, and I'm just honored that he asked me to be a part of it.
Yeah, if you didn't get enough Thomas and John talking about Kristin Wiig tonight, get ready for another episode.
Gear up.
During the season. But yeah, we did record the Buck Henry one already. That'll be released during the season. And I love talking about Buck Henry, so that's fun. You have a cast of characters coming on for different episodes for the SNL Hall of Fame. So always happy to support our fellow patron, Jamie Dew, who joins us sometimes on these shows, and really happy and thrilled for everything going on at the SNL Hall of Fame. Demi, please tell the listeners where they can reach out to you. Anything you got going on that you want to plug?
No, not really. Just watching SNL and talking about it with people and hanging out.
Oh, okay.
I will maybe someday, but not today.
For sure. Well, I'm happy to have you on the show. I'm looking forward to talking about season 48 with you when we have you back later on. So looking forward to that. And of course, if you missed last week's show, it was called Point Counterpoint, which is another recurring, I guess, bit from the 70s where 2 Weekend Update anchors would argue a certain point and counterpoint. And last week we tried to do that on the SNL Network. I think we succeeded with special guests Andrew Dick and TJ Randolph, where we debated 6 different SNL topics. I was there to moderate. We had a lot of fun going back and forth with 2 of our most eccentric sometimes craziest panelists that we have on the show with strong opinions, and we love them dearly because they're always fun to get to hear everything that they think about Saturday Night Live. So that was a lot of fun. You can go back and listen to that show and decide who won each of those debates, and of course our career retrospectives, our interview with Chris Redd. So much going on this summer on the SNL Network as we gear up for season 48 of Saturday Night Live. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat for joining us on this Monday night. You can find everything we're doing at the SNL Network as we begin to reveal this list and count everything down. You can find me at Jon Schneider 24 as well. Okay, for Thomas Senna and one of my great friends, Demi, my name is Jon Schneider from the SNL Network. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.